In the quiet dawn of Jerusalem, where the ancient stones whispered secrets to the rising sun, Senator Marco Rubio stepped off the plane. The air was warm, carrying the faint scent of olive trees and distant sea salt. He paused on the tarmac, adjusting his tie, feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders. It was a calm morning, the kind that invited reflection. Birds sang softly from nearby branches, and the city below stirred slowly, like an old friend waking from a dream. Marco had always been a man of action, but today, he sought understanding. As a U.S. Senator from Florida, he had seen conflicts from afar, through briefings and headlines. Now, he was here in Israel to discuss the Gaza situation with its leaders. It wasn't just politics, it was about people, lives tangled in a web of history and hope. He climbed into the waiting car, the leather seats cool against his skin. The driver, a quiet man named Avi, nodded respectfully. "Welcome, Senator. It's a short drive to the Prime Minister's office." As they wound through the streets, Marco watched the city unfold. Golden light bathed the rooftops, casting long shadows that danced like memories. People hurried by, mothers with strollers, vendors setting up stalls with fresh bread and spices. He thought of his own family back home, safe and distant. How different it was here, where peace felt fragile, like a delicate glass held in trembling hands. The relatable problem began to settle in as they arrived. Marco met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a room overlooking the hills. The air was thick with the aroma of strong coffee, poured from a silver pot. Maps and documents covered the table, marked with lines that divided lands and dreams. "Senator," Netanyahu said, his voice steady but weary, "Gaza is a wound that won't heal. Rockets fall, tunnels burrow like roots in the earth. Our people live in fear, and theirs in despair." Marco listened, nodding slowly. He understood the fear, it was universal, like a parent's worry for a child. Back in the U.S., he had constituents who fled violence, seeking refuge. But here, the problem felt immediate, raw. Families in Gaza struggled with shortages of food and water, while Israelis braced for alarms that shattered the night. It was a cycle of pain, one side's security clashing with the other's survival. Marco felt a pang in his chest, a relatable ache. How do you bridge such a divide without breaking hearts? They talked for hours, voices low and measured. Outside, the sun climbed higher, warming the room through tall windows. Natural pauses filled the air, moments to sip coffee, to gaze at the horizon. Marco shared stories from American soil, of communities rebuilding after storms. Netanyahu spoke of ancient ties to the land, of hopes for quieter days. Yet, the problem loomed. Ceasefires broke like promises in the wind, and aid struggled to reach those in need. Marco wondered if words alone could mend what actions had torn. As evening approached, a gentle twist unfolded. They moved to a balcony, where the city lights began to twinkle like stars fallen to earth. A soft breeze rustled papers, carrying echoes of distant prayers. Suddenly, Netanyahu's advisor entered, holding a tablet. "Prime Minister, there's news from the border. A small group of aid workers, Israeli and Palestinian, have crossed lines together. They're delivering supplies, unarmed, under a temporary truce." Marco's eyes widened slightly. It was unexpected, this spark of humanity amid the talks. Not a grand gesture, but a quiet one. He pictured it. Trucks rumbling over dusty roads, hands exchanging boxes of medicine and food. Smiles tentative, but real. It twisted the narrative gently, from stalemate to possibility. "This," Netanyahu said, a faint smile breaking through, "is what we fight for. Not just borders, but moments like these." The discussion shifted, lighter now. They brainstormed ways to support such efforts, U.S. funding for joint projects, perhaps schools where children from both sides could learn together. Marco felt a warmth spread through him, like the sun's last rays. It wasn't a solution, but a thread to weave into the fabric of peace. As night fell, wrapping the city in a velvet cloak, Marco returned to his hotel. The streets were quieter now, lanterns glowing softly. He sat by the window, reflecting on the day. The problem remained, but the twist had planted a seed of hope. In the end, it was about people, flawed, resilient, yearning for calm. The satisfying ending came with emotional grounding. Marco called his wife back home, his voice soft over the line. "It's complicated here," he said, "but there's good in it too." She listened, her presence a comfort. He realized that true change started small, in conversations like these, in acts of quiet courage. As he drifted to sleep, the city's hum lulled him, a reminder that even in conflict, dawn always returned. Peace wasn't immediate, but it was possible, one gentle step at a time.